Well, as Heather just teased, we have a guest now, and we're going to bring in former Trump campaign senior trade and jobs advisor Curtis Ellis. So, Curtis, question, would Trump suspend the October 15th tariffs if he didn't expect some kind of deal, right?
Well, yeah, this is a complete vindication of President Trump's negotiating strategy. He's been very tough. He got China to the negotiating table, which is something no previous administration, Democrat or Republican, was able to do. And he did it through tariffs. And this got them where they hurt, and it got them talking. So now we're going to see the details of this emerge. Look, China's not doing us any favors. They need, by buying our agricultural products, I mean, certainly helping our farmers. But what I mean is China's food prices are skyrocketing. They have pork shortages. Their people are starving. And for the first time in history, the Chinese Communist Party does not want to starve the Chinese people. So that's why they're buying things. They're also buying things because their economy is hurting. Our imports from China are down by double digits, and they need continual growth to keep their people happy. So this is a huge vindication for President Trump's policy towards China.
And yet there's been no mention about removing the tariffs that have been previously put on billions of dollars of goods, which have reduced business investment in America and hurt a lot of American companies. And that seems to be the crux of the problem that we're seeing for a lot of companies, not only here, but around the globe. The fact that these tariffs will still exist. Sure, he's not going to go forward with the tariffs in October 15th and maybe in December as well. That's great news. But, and I think John Porter, who's a CIO of Mellon Investments, said it best, I'm not going to do anything until I actually see a deal, which at this moment we're cheering for something that's going to be potentially signed in 2 to 3 weeks. Yes, it's going to be agricultural stuff, which we actually talked about on the show yesterday. This is what we predicted. You brought up that they're buying goods. They're buying 30 million metric tons of soybeans, which is better than 2017, better than 2018, but still not even half the amount in 2016, which shows that maybe China's economy, as we all know, is slowing down.
Well, despite these tariffs and the tariffs not being removed, we're still seeing 4% growth in tax revenues.
We're going to get to that, but
I mean, this is the predicted doom of economy.
You're talking about corporate taxes right now. We're talking about a trade war that's still going on in the American.
Our economy is booming.
Yes, I'm not denying
Our wages are high. More people are working than ever in history, and this was all supposed to be doomed.
What about IP theft? Why isn't Huawei mentioned in this? Why aren't we dealing with the other huge issue
Why
that's
didn't
been
he
going
cure cancer at the same time?
No, but I'm just saying, we knew that this was going to be the situation, that agricultural products being bought was going to be a win. But is that a complete win?
No, and he doesn't say this is a complete win. This is a phase one.
But
He talked about phase two, phase three. Vindication of his strategy of being tough, a total vindication of his negotiating strategy. I do not back down on that 1 inch.
Gary?
Nobody else has gotten this much out of China. No one.
Gary B., go ahead.
Curtis, Gary Smith, thanks for being on the show. You know, Christina made, she made many good points, but the one of interest is this all started because of IP theft. And now it seems like we're trying to bend a trading partner to our will. Let's take out the IP theft. Let's take out the currency manipulation, because I'm not sure we can try, solve that via tariffs or anything else. Why do we need to twist anyone's arm on trade? China has something we want, agriculture, stuff like that. We have something they want. Why do we need even a fight here? What are we trying to accomplish?
Why do you want to stop a stick-up artist from stealing from you? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Well, how are they stealing?
Trade with thieves.
How are they stealing?
IP theft. They're stealing our intellectual property.
We're not solved. But my point is, we can't. That's a company-to-company thing. If we don't want China to do IP theft, then companies shouldn't do business. We can't solve that at a government level. The NSA has said that. Every security person has said that. So I'm back to square one on what we're trying to solve with this trade war.
Well, as President Trump has said, this is much bigger than trade. We're dealing with a totalitarian regime which is bent on dominating the world. And when they take over, when they achieve their goal, everyone will lose money in this country.
Hang on,
in the long run, there will be no private property. There will be no private property. There will be no American companies. Everyone will answer to the Chinese Communist Party line. Otherwise, you won't get to make money.
How are they going to take over?
How are they? By stealing our intellectual property, by drugging our people with fentanyl, by having state-subsidized companies that bankrupt our companies, by selling it below market levels. I mean, the 7 deadly sins that they've been engaged in for 40 years, which is why we are in this trade war. They've been waging a trade war for 40 years, and now Curtis, we're finally striking back.
Go ahead, Adam.
With respect, if that were the position of the United States, if that's what we were trying to accomplish, what you just articulated, there would be no reason at all to have any sort of minor trade agreement that we think might be signed in the next few weeks.
We sold wheat to the Soviet Union at the height of the Cold War.
What you just articulated is an adversary that we should not make a deal with at all, which is not what the administration. But that's not what we're doing.
We sold wheat to the Soviet Union at the height of the Cold War when Khrushchev was banging his shoe on the table saying, "We will bury you," and they had missiles pointed at us. We'd still sell them stuff, and if China needs our food, we'll sell it to them.
Let me just bring up the market itself, because clearly the market is encouraged. I know it came down off its highs. It was up 500 points. It still ended up 319 points today, the market did. We are getting indications, and I'll throw this to Gary, we're getting indications that the market could move from 5 to 10% to the upside if we get some kind of trade deal, even if it's a modest trade deal. So the market thinks it's a good thing, right?
Oh, David, I agree with you absolutely. Let's take out the whole, Curtis and I got back and forth on the evilness of China, I suppose, and all that. But if Trump said tomorrow, without any details, look, we're going to tackle the currency and IP alone, and we're just going to be a free trading partner with China, you're absolutely right. We'd see all-time highs plus on the market.
I agree with that.
Well, I think that everyone's being a little tough on Curtis, but I get it, rightfully so. I understand the agreement that
he could hold his own.
I see that. I'm just sitting back as an observer. But let's look at the fact, broaden it out. Like Curtis was saying, you can even look at Hong Kong protests. They want freedom of speech. They're being oppressed. They want freedom of expression. You can broaden it out to the NBA now, and how a Chinese authoritative regime is cracking down on their people, and it's slowly spilling over into the U.S., into our businesses and industries like the NBA, for example. So isn't that also what this is about? It's not just, of course, it's not just about buying more soybeans and more pork from the U.S.
Absolutely. Again, the president has accomplished so much with China, and not to be underestimated is how he has unmasked the true nature of this regime. Now we have the entire world understanding that China is a totalitarian regime that does not respect our basic values, the basic Western values, free speech, individual liberty. The European Union has now imposed 66% tariffs on some Chinese imports. We've now ignored the World Trade Organization because it's been exposed as an ineffective instrument for enforcing our free trade rules.
And yet we've used it continuously many times over the past several decades to our own advantage in America. To your point of the trade war and how the president has moved forward, I think it is great that he brought China to the table because somebody needs to address it. But I think it's slightly premature to say that this is the best situation we could possibly be in, because so far we're still stuck in the exact same spot. We still have all of these tariffs. You still have American companies trying to deal with it. You're seeing
But hold on a second. Today the president just said he was suspending the October 15th increase. That's a move, positive move.
There's still all the other tariffs that are already
the goal is to get supply chains out of China back to the United States.
Have they been coming? They've been going to Vietnam and other countries.
And Vietnam is full up now, by the way. There's so much has moved to Vietnam they can't even handle anymore. The goal is to get these supply chains back to the United States and put Americans back to work. The goal is not necessarily
I don't think you want to share that with the Chinese. I do not think that is what the administration discussed in their negotiations with the Chinese, that the goal of these talks was to eliminate the global supply chain in China. I just don't think you're on factual ground there. I understand that's your
role. That's what they discussed. I'm not saying that's what they discussed inside these talks. But look, the President Trump's policy is America first. Put Americans back to work.
And
we know that China...
Speaking of